Okay. Now we're going to do problem 102 to check yourself. First thing I see, I'm going in the negative direction. So I need to start here and go that way. Now how much am I going? Okay. 7 over 18. In my brain, I'm going to compare that to a half. A half in 18s is 9 18ths. The reason I'm comparing it to a half would be this is negative pi halves, negative pi, negative 3 pi halves, negative 2 pi. 90 degrees is pi halves in the negative direction. Am I going all the way to 90 degrees? Nope, I'm not. This says I'm going 7. 90 degrees would be 9. So I just draw my arrow to there and I stop it short. Okay, here's my initial side. Here's my terminal side. I stop it short, and to designate how much that is, I can write 7 pi over 18. I don't even have to write the negative because I'm showing, well, I might as well. It's negative 7 pi over 18, or I can do this right here and say that's an additional 2 pi over 18, which would reduce to pi over 9. That's an additional ninth there. Okay. No. Yeah. I'm sorry, I'm having a brain. This is, from here to here is a half, which is 9 over 18. I've gone 7 over 18, so what's left would be 2 over 18, which it reduces to 1/9. So this is 1/9 right here of a pi. So that is my answer. If you didn't get it right, then go ahead and correct it. Okay, so that you can have it correct when you do your homework. Okay. Now the last thing that I want to do today is finding the reference angle. So if you'll turn with me to 108, finding the reference angle, I've got to define what the reference angle is. The reference angle is the acute angle between the terminal side of an angle, the acute angle between the terminal side and the x-axis. It is always positive. The reference angle is the acute angle between the terminal side and the x-axis. It is always positive. Okay. You are going to want to draw pictures to do these, and I'll explain. I'm going to draw them on a separate sheet of paper. We'll do I'll do a positive one in, or negative one in degrees. I'll do well, you know what, I'll do a positive one in degrees. I'll do a negative one in radians because all the radian ones are negative. Okay, so the reference angle is the acute angle between the terminal side and the x-axis, and it's always positive. So I'm going to explain to you how to do it. So we'll start with doing 109. You probably need a separate sheet of paper because you're going to need to draw them out so that you can see them, which is why you have to learn to draw them before you can do reference angles. Okay, so I'm doing problem 109. I need the reference angle for a 620 degrees. Now, as we get a little further in trig, you'll understand that reference angles and the original angles have the same properties. It's easier to work with reference angles because they're smaller, so that's why we have to find them. But you have to learn how to find them before you learn what they're good for. Alright, so let's look at 620. It's positive, so I start here and I go all the way around. That's 360. And I'm left with another 160 degree angle. Okay, if I did my math right, 12 minus 6 is 6. Oh no, that's not right. 260. Glad I looked at it. 620 take away 360 leaves me with 260. So I got to go 260. I go to right here, and that's 180. And that leaves me with 80 more. And so I go 80 more. Now 80 is closer down to 90. Okay? Now let's think through that one more time. Right here was 360. Right here was 180. And then I went 80 more. So that bit right there is 80 more. Now my definition of reference angle was the acute angle between the terminal side, here's the terminal side, and the x-axis, which is that one. When it says acute, it means less than 90. I don't go that way because that's more than 90. Go back this way. So the question is, how far away is the terminal side from the x-axis? Not from the y-axis, from the x-axis. How far away is it? 80 degrees. So the reference angle for 620 degrees is 80 degrees. Reference angle is how far away from the x-axis is it. So let me draw you a little helper. If it's in the first quadrant, it is its own reference angle. This right here is the reference angle if we're in the first quadrant. If we're in the second quadrant, meaning here's the original angle, this part right here is the reference angle. Okay? If we're in the third quadrant, so here's the original, here's the terminal, this is the original angle, the reference angle is this part right here. And you always make it positive. The reference angle is always positive. Alright, let's do one in the fourth quadrant. So here's where you start, and you go all the way around, and you come back to here. This is one in the fourth quadrant. Your reference angle is that part. Make it positive. This part right here is your reference. If you're in the first quadrant, you are your own reference. And right here's the reference if you're in the third quadrant. Okay, so this one was in the third quadrant, first, second, third, fourth. It was in the third quadrant. So here's third quadrant. Your reference angle is back. So it's how much was that, and it was 80 degrees. Okay. Reference angle is the acute angle between the terminal side and the x-axis, and here's where they're all located. In the first quadrant, you are your own reference angle. In the second quadrant, you figure out how much you need to get to here from where you are. So it's really 180, subtract that. In the third quadrant, it's how much past 180 you are. And in the fourth quadrant, it's how much less 360 you are. So these are reference angles. Right, I'd like to do 117. It's a negative one. Negative 13 pi over 4. Okay. So I've got to think in terms of whole pies being fours. So I'm going negative. 4 fourths, 8 fourths, 12 fourths. This is the easiest way I think to think of it. A whole pi is 4 over 4, and I'm going 13. So from here to here was negative 4, negative 8, negative 12. So I need to go another fourth. Well, fourth is exactly halfway. Let me make it more precise. Okay, I need to go another fourth. Okay, now the question is, how much is this overshot that, or how much back from it? So look right here in the second quadrant, this is my reference angle. So how much was that? That was an additional fourth. So the reference angle for 117 is pi over 4. It's always positive. Okay. So, what is your homework? This homework is due Friday at 10 p.m. We are Zooming tomorrow at 10 a.m. You'll have to have a different link because this isn't the recurring one. So check LMS in the morning for the link. You need a blank unit circle for tomorrow. Okay. Your homework that's due Friday at 10 is on CUDA, and it is 88 through 117. Due Friday at 10 p.m. on CUDA. So we are Zooming on Friday at 10 a.m. Look for the link on LMS, and you need a printout of the blank unit circle for tomorrow. This homework is due tomorrow night at 10 p.m. Thanks so much for listening. Hope I haven't bored you to death, and have a great Thursday.